methamphetamine by mixing other chemicals to benzodrine to create a drug that would expand his army's ability to fight for long periods of time with very little food or sleep. American soldiers told nightmarish stories, being overwhelmed by speed-crazed, zombie-like German troops that could fight for days without stopping. Also in the Pacific, the Japanese kamikaze pilots shot meth to numb their fears as they would suicidally crash their planes into the decks of American ships. By the end of World War II, Hitler's Nazi youth were emaciated and psychotic, and Hitler himself was also strung out on speed. But speed use was not common until the 60s, when drug abuse seemed to become culturally acceptable. Late in the decade, there was a dramatic explosion of speed use in our country. Massive amounts of this drug were injected. Overdosing was common and marked by severe convulsions. If not treated, the user would die from heart failure. Today's drug is slightly different. It's much more pure and potent. Stroke and heart failure occur without warning. Speed is becoming popular because it's cheap and extremely easy to get. Also, its high lasts several times longer than cocaine, and it's produced right here in the US. It can be made in any garage and is sold in almost every high school. The ingredients used to make speed are easy to find and to buy. The recipes contain things like lighter fluid, battery acid, and rat poison, but its main ingredient is found in cold medicine. Kids snort it, shoot it, smoke it, and eat it. People using meth have a shorter life expectancy than heroin addicts. And the worst thing is that most kids don't think it's dangerous.
Methamphetamine causes immediate and very noticeable negative effects on the human body. See her teeth like that? That's another indicative thing. They lose their teeth. She was in her late 20s. I think I had her stick her tongue out because you can see the film of methamphetamine causes that white coating on the tongue. You'll see coating thick, like it's scraped off your fingernail on their tongue. People alter completely. They change their moods change. They can become violent. They become what's called sketchy. They lose most of their friends who are normal. It causes really weird living conditions. People become really filthy, and they no longer have any expectations of cleanliness. And what I mean by that, and this one search warrant I served, this guy was a volleyball player in the 70s and 80s and a lifeguard. Got into methamphetamine, and his whole house became dilapidated. I don't have any pictures of him, but I can show you his house. But here in his bed, you can see the middle of it. There's no sheets. It's obviously a warm mattress. He had a urinary problem, and he just peed his bed and slept in it regularly all the time. He no longer had any sense of cleanliness. It goes to the point where everyone reduces to living on the streets or in garages, picking out of trash cans to obtain rubbish and all kinds of garbage. It turns them into pack rats. Every one of them, they all get into bringing junk home. And they just put it everywhere. They'll go up to a month at a time without even taking their shoes off. When I see hands like that, I say, okay, there's a tweaker. I've known people to sleep on the roofs of houses, in trash cans, on the street literally, and in mass like flop houses where they all live. That's a toilet that they were using that doesn't work. Physically, they get all scabby. It's not an active problem. Those are just sores that are scratched and that develop all over when there's a high methamphetamine use. You can actually cause heart attacks, and even if they turn it around. Now there's this toothless, scabbed up person who doesn't have a lot of mental faculties anymore.
Meth causes the user's brain to overproduce several important chemicals. One of these is adrenaline, which gives a person extremely high amounts of energy and causes them to stay up for days. The drug also depletes the user's brain of dopamine, which is a chemical that keeps your brain functioning. Brain cells are eventually damaged so badly they can no longer produce or recapture this chemical. Addicts find themselves completely dependent on the drug because they can't function without it. When a user finally comes down from a high that is often maintained for days, they experience a crash that seems catastrophic. This creates a psychological addiction that pushes the person to further use.
The longer you use it, the more extreme the psychiatric effects get. And again, one of the